Yeah, friend, you're welcome to this discussion. Following my discussion on how to write chapter 1 of problem of undergraduate research problem, research work, and the feedbacks from friends who wanted me to discuss in details how to write statement or problem, because often this is an uphill task for new researchers who are just starting. Sometimes it's very difficult to know what to write. A clear statement of problem in research is always an uphill task for inexperienced researchers. All right, people who are just beginning in research, how do you know you have done what is good in statement of problem? And I want to show you 4 steps what you can follow to draft a good statement of problem. All right, now permit me to take an example, a hypothetical topic here. Let's assume that we are looking at the impact of international trade on economic growth in Nigeria. By the way, for someone who is doing cross-sectional data, it may be a bit different, but the structure is basically the same thing. Okay, so let's assume this is the case we have on ground. How do we go about drafting what should be a good statement of problem? I mean, any topic can fit into what we are saying, but I just want to guide you, and if you follow this, you will get a good statement of problem. Now, the 4 steps are this. Number 1, you introduce the problem in question here, the concern, what could be called the thesis. All right, you introduce the problem, the challenge. Now you present the debate around it, and then you narrow down the debate to your area of study, and then you establish what I call your research niche. All right, once you do that, I mean, you have a statement of problem that is quite clear. So what is the first step? You introduce the problem, having in mind our topic. So what we'll do here is to present in brief. You present theories of international trade that suggest that international trade has positive contribution on economic growth. I say in brief because in your literature review in chapter 2, you will need to discuss this theory in details. So you could make 1 or 2 lines to say so and so theory believes that this has positive impact. This also supports it. This also supports it. Just in brief. All right, so you introduce it because that is what you are studying. And you are studying it from this angle that some people say has positive impact. These are theories. If there are counter theories, for instance, theories that show that it doesn't have positive impact, of course, there are theories that way. You also highlight them. That's the problem you are discussing. You highlight the counter theories. This person said this, this person said this. Now, having done that, the next thing you do, step 2, is to present this debate. Now, some people have done this research in different locations. You pull up their data. Somebody has done this research in Canada. Someone has done it in Bangladesh. Someone has done it in China. Someone has done it in Ghana. Someone has done it in South Africa. So you look at these things they have done and try to show empirically the work that agree with the fact that there is positive impact. So in statement of problem, that's why you throw up figures. You cite authors. You say you may cite 5 persons or 4 or 3 that have said, now this actually has positive impact, and they agree with that theory that it has positive impact. Okay, when you do it, you briefly cite the researcher, cite the location on which they made their conclusion. The person who did it in South Africa could have found a positive impact. The person who did it in China could have found a positive impact. The person who did it in Rwanda could find negative impact. The person who did it in Saudi Arabia could find negative impact. Okay, so having shown the positive impact, you also show other studies that do not agree with the positive impact thing. This could be people who have found negative or who said there is no impact at all. All right, it doesn't have any impact on growth. And when you do that, you cite the location of the research where this has been done and the conclusions they made. So you are presenting the debate. You started by showing us the theory. All right, after showing us the theory, you now bring empirical studies that support or counter the theory. Okay, and then the next thing you do is to narrow down that debate to your area of study. That's step 3. You narrow down this debate to your area of studies by doing what? By highlighting the possible reasons previous researchers, you now narrow it down. For instance, I'm looking at Nigeria case, so I narrow it down to now people who have studied Nigeria, and I may also find that kind of groups. People who said it has positive impact, people who said it has negative impact, people who said it doesn't have impact. And once I'm able to draw that thing, it shows me that this matter is an ongoing debate. So my research is relevant. And in doing that, I look at their locality. This person studied it, in regional study. This person did it as a national study. This person did it within regions in the country. And then you look at the data size, the sample size they used or range of data. Someone studied from 1960 to 2012. Someone did from 1970 to 2020. And then I want to do 22. So it shows me there is a gap in the data range. And then the scope, the scope of the study in terms of the coverage. And then the method, you look at the method and be able to find a gap. For instance, maybe the person who did the study have been using aggregate or net foreign trade as a variable. I may decide to use import as a separate variable and export as a separate variable, checking the impact of both of them on economic growth. Okay, so the variables you use, the method you used in the analysis, these are things you throw up, and based on the findings of these things, then you draw your niche. You establish your research niche. Niche is actually a marketing terms. Okay, you talk about market niche. Market niche talks about, when a market looks like it's saturated. Everybody, for instance, is selling bottled drink, and I'm coming into the market. Who should be my target? My target may be people who prefer low sugar intake. So I decide to design a drink that is low sugar, and it becomes my campaign that this is that's part of what they try to do by saying zero sugar and all of that. So you target people who don't like sugar. So that is it. So in this research, you try to now clearly state the contribution your research is promising to make, based on the fact that the debate is an inconclusive debate. People said yes, people said no, people said no impact. So I'm also bringing my own idea here. That's one area. Then the locality, and then the data range, and then the method they have used, and the variables. All right. So once you are able to establish this, you are done with statement of problem. All right. And once you have a very good statement of problem, your research question becomes clear as crystal. All right. Someone can easily see the question that will be popping up from your research problem. Once you have stated the problem very well, the research question will naturally pop up from it, and that becomes a very fantastic research. I wish you the very best. Try to look at good work that have been done by previous researchers and learn how they're able to do this kind of. It's a skill you are building. You build that skill, it stays with you. And this is where we're going to stop our discussion today. You are smiling again. That's a good one. And I do hope you will learn these research skills you need and keep smiling as you do it. Wishing you the very best. Cheers.